Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of The Dialogue. I am your host, Patricia, and I want to welcome you. Today, I'm so excited because we are doing a different series for today. It is dealing with healing. However, today is Mother's Day. Always want to pay homage to the mothers. We so appreciate them for all their love and all their sacrifice and everything that they contribute to society, because without women, civilization would not continue to exist. So that is why today I am focused on the mother and the mentality of motherhood. As you know, on this show, we are healing souls one conversation at a time. As I come onto the podcast and give you content and information, you take it and you talk to someone else, and there is healing that takes place because understanding and perspective is gleaned from the inside. So today I want to talk about how you are actually becoming a woman through your mothering. For some of us, we haven't had the capacity to be mothered by our mothers. However, when I first started out and God let me know that it was my time to conceive my daughter, He explained to me through numerous people, you're going to have to reparent yourself. And as you reparent yourself through parenting your daughter, you are going to become. And that is ultimately what is taking place. I am becoming, or shall I say, I have become the woman that I was always meant to be, but it came through my daughter. See, I've had an opportunity to be around a lot of people, and I see that a lot of people, when your children come into your life, whether it's a boy or a girl, you have children, the role of motherhood is so extremely taxing and exhausting. I am not going to lie. See, I'm in a position to where it is just me and my daughter. We don't have any support. So I don't send my daughter to other people's houses because we can't. The only other people that have actually ever watched my daughter, besides her father, is actually the daycare and maybe a friend when I was going to work out of an emergency situation. But my daughter is just not at everybody's house. She's just not lollygagging around everybody. And I really don't allow a lot of people into my home. Since I've actually moved to my new home, there has only been a couple people in my house that I could count on one hand if it wasn't the movers actually moving in furniture, and nobody has stayed the night. My daughter has changed my life. In our home, there's a lot of peace. She can roam through the rooms and feel comfortable in herself. She's always smiling and laughing and playing. She's very adventurous. It is so funny that I call her Minnie, or a lot of her themes that we have received, whether it was t-shirts or birthday decorations, have been with the word Minnie Mouse. I say that my daughter is like a little mini me, but she's like times 20, which means that she's going to be so much better because I'm going to teach her. And so I want to talk about the importance of your mentality as a mom, because a lot of people don't understand, unless you are a mother, how mentally taxing it can be to be a mother, especially a first-time mom, especially a mother if you are not a mom or didn't have a mom yourself. I did this blog years ago. It was called Motherless Mothers, and it was for mothers that actually had children, but their mother was not in their life. So it's like, even though we automatically think that when a woman has a child, that she should know all the skills and everything she's supposed to do with that child. That's not necessarily true. Even though I haven't necessarily struggled in being able to nurture my daughter, there were things at certain intervals that I just simply didn't know. Because how many of you understand that each child is different? Each child has their own different personality, their own different temperament. Each one of them have their own perspective. Even though they are growing up, children are different. And so with our mentality, how we deal with people and how we deal with adults and how we deal with other people is not how we're always going to deal with our children. Our mentality has to change and transform in order to be able to connect to this child. However, when you are coming from a place of trauma and pain, parenting, mothering can be extremely difficult. I know that I had saw a reel the other day, and this mom was sitting there and her kids were trying to hug on her, and she just didn't want to be touched. She just didn't want to be hugged. And I'm not going to say that she looked so much as irritated, but she was adamant about not being touched. Okay. And that is a boundary. That is your personal space. However, in mothering, it doesn't always work like that. You can't even go to the bathroom by yourself without them either being right there on the floor. In some instances, I have had my daughter sitting on my lap. Okay. Mothering just doesn't work. It's not a convention. It's not a role of just conventionality. It's not always conventional and convenient. That's a better word, shall we say. However, it is so worth it. But for a woman that does not want to be touched, and I'm talking about a woman that has been abused, it could be really traumatic. I know that I've talked to counselors who have explained that for a woman that's been raped or molested or physically abused, or her boundaries have always been violated, mothering can be extremely difficult. Because you are not able to tell that person, no, I didn't want to do that. No, leave me alone. Sometimes being touched repeatedly can be very triggering. And so we also know that when women become mothers, they can go through what we call postpartum depression. Many women go through depression. I myself finally understood what I went through months later. I went through postpartum rage, where there were times where I felt like I literally just wanted to punch a wall. I had so much anger and aggression, even though I was so excited, because anybody that knows me is that all I ever wanted was to be a mother. My daughter brought a sense of peace in regards to family. She brought a sense of stability to me that I don't think I could have acquired without the desire of wanting to give that stability to her. However, motherhood has its challenges, especially if you are somebody as myself that did not receive a lot of things from her mother that you are now trying to give to your daughter and or son. Sometimes the road map got severed, and now you have to pick up the pieces in order to complete the puzzle within yourself in order to be able to give it to your children. And mothering from a traumatic place is extremely difficult. It is difficult because in order to function throughout the day, you have 5,006 things to do. You have to get up and get them breakfast. You have to change their diaper, get them milk, get them squared away, maybe watch a little bit of TV. Then maybe they'll do a nap. And then that just goes on for the rest of the day where you're filling their needs, unless you're someone that goes to work and you have someone else to help you with it. In my case, I am a stay-at-home mom. I am an entrepreneur and an author. So I have the wonderful luxury of being at home with my daughter. And when I need a moment in order to work on something, she will be such of a wonderful baby and sit in her bumbo seat and I can work. But it wasn't always like that. And so sometimes when you're going through life and it's gotten severely and extremely difficult, mothering can be challenging. Because there are some days where you just want to sit by yourself. There are some days where you just don't want to talk. There are some days where you just need to process. There are many days and hours of the days where you're up thinking about how you're going to make ends meet. How are things going to come together? Is your child going to be okay? And so I never want to support the notion that mothering should come from a place of worrying, but you are always concerned. And the interesting part is you're always concerned about your children. However, because mother seems to be the title that you wear, you often take off the title of just simply being a woman. And I believe that that is one of the hardest challenges. I personally believe that after I had my daughter and we didn't have a lot of support, that I went through this time, and a lot of mothers do it, and even when they do have support, where you lose yourself. Maybe you're not able to get your hair done as often. Maybe your hair fell out because of, they say when you have children, they take everything from you, all your glory from you. They come out just looking so scrumptious, edible, and your edges are falling out and your hair is just destroyed and your skin is going through changes and you've gained all the weight and you just don't feel like yourself. And then as you're waking up in the middle of the night, feeding them and making sure that they have everything that they need, you feel like a zombie. So you literally feel like you're just walking through life clutching on to your house coat, trying to make breakfast, trying to make lunch, trying to make dinner, and thrive through one of the hardest seasons of your life, which is motherhood, where you have to give so much of yourself to another person that can do nothing for themselves besides pee and poop. And the beautiful thing is that they rely on you so much. They depend on you so much. However, at the same time, when you don't have support, you look behind you like, who can I lean on? Who can I rest on? But the beautiful thing about it is that oftentimes I rested on God. I rested in his presence. I remember it was one day I had got up in the morning, I was waking up at 4 a.m. to get me and my daughter to work by, I think I had to be at work by 5 a.m., 5:30 or something of the sort. And, she was a little baby. She wasn't sleeping a lot, but I remember getting up, hauling her out the house in the middle of the night, when it was dark, taking her to daycare. And we have been doing that for months. And on top of that, I was trying to be this awesome mom and take her to the park, and put her in the stroller. I just feel so powerful with that stroller. I love taking my daughter to the park, walking around. And it just got to the point where I was extremely exhausted. I just remember on the weekends, we weren't even getting out. I was literally using that time just to sleep. Just sleep in. She go to sleep. I go back to sleep. We were just laying in the bed, I would feed her, she was breastfeeding and things of that nature when she was like 3 months. But I was making life as simple as possible. And I just remember praying and asking God, Lord, I need grace to mother my child today. Give me the grace to show up and supply all her needs. And he did it. I will never forget that day. I was dog tired. And I probably looked a mess on top of that. But I remember that when I felt like I couldn't put one foot in front of the next because there were so many demands on my life. COVID was raging. On top of that, they had the milk shortage. I was going to 4 or 5 stores per day looking for milk. And when I asked for the grace of God to help me parent my daughter that day, mother my daughter that day, to give her what I didn't have in my fuel tank or reserve, he did it. He did it. And so I want to talk to some mothers where your mental capacity is so inflamed and boggled down with the responsibility of motherhood. I want you to know today that on this Mother's Day and every other day, whether you didn't get flowers, whether you didn't get a card, whether nobody called or texted, and the only type of appreciation that you are seeing is through the portal of social media, I want you to understand and to know you are loved, you are cherished, you are appreciated, you are valued, you are seen. Because all of this love and tender care comes from God. So if you find yourself in a place where you are continuously sacrificing, where you feel burnt out, where you feel like you can't tell if you're going left or right, or if you're just stuck sitting there on the couch just wanting to enjoy a little bit of ice cream, Netflix, and chill by yourself, so that you can just get your mind back together. Let me help you understand. You can always say a prayer to God. There has been many days where I felt like I didn't have enough unction to keep moving forward. And he always gave me what I needed. Even if I didn't understand how something was going to work out. However, I will be honest and say there were also days when there were challenges because there was so much coming up against me, so much happening, especially with people in relationships and people that I thought would be there at one of the most pivotal times in my life. However, God used that time to show me how much he honors mothers. See, I always felt that a lot of the attack is on the children. And don't get me wrong, they do go through their own spiritual warfare, from the enemy trying to annihilate them and harm them. But mothers go through it so tremendously in their mentality. But God is not able to see you through. He's able to see you through. He's able to give you peace. He's able to bring you to the end and conclude the situation and let you see you were stronger than what you thought. And sometimes the demands on our lives as mothers, going to work, taking care of our children, dealing with friendships and relationships. What I have done and what I'm mastering doing is making my life as simple as possible. God, myself, and whatever he's telling me to do, and my daughter. And sometimes that's all you have to give. You cannot go through guilt or shame because you can't be there for people as much as you would like to, because oftentimes your children are put on the board of sacrifice in order to be there for others. And so sometimes we lose out on friendships. We lose out on an event or somewhere to go. We don't get out as much. We don't do as much. And so for me, I know I'm so comfortable in my mom gear that consists of leggings and a baggy t-shirt. I just feel so cute. A little bit of makeup. I just feel so cute because it's not so much about me putting on clothes to go outside and be seen. I am executing and killing motherhood at its optimum performance as I stay at home with my daughter. I cook her breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I take her to the park so she can have time outside with other people and see her laugh and smile. But life is so simple. The mentality of a woman that's a mother, it has to come into a place of simplicity. If you're around people that make your children uncomfortable, you may have to get away from them. If you are in environments that don't support who you are trying to become as a woman, you may have to leave them. If you're in an intimate relationship where it causes so much drama and chaos that you can't even think straight or feel good about yourself, you may have to end it. These are the things that bring about simplicity and peace in a woman's mind so she can function as a mother. For me, mothering was more important than my job, more important than relationships. Oftentimes, mothering was more important than myself. But it was in those moments when God was having me come away from the job and away from people and sit down and go through a time of isolation or consecration that I ultimately found myself. I feel like I am here to help my daughter and save her in certain instances, but mothering actually saved me. I think about relationship with men differently now. Me and my daughter are a package deal. I don't want my daughter to see me arguing with people or going through any type of abuse because I'm trying to give her a picture of what womanhood can actually be, that she can be loved, she can be nurtured, she can be treated right. In order so when she grows up, she has the mentality of, I want to be treated like how my mom was treated because she knew how to hold on to healthy relationships. I want that for myself. And if she ever has an encounter, we pray that she doesn't, she will have a reference point, which is me. I'm bonding with her because I don't want my daughter to go outside of the house and not understand what real authentic friendship is. I am my daughter's first friend. Regardless of anybody else that comes, she can always come to me and talk to me. And so parenting my daughter, I finally have a true glimpse of what real mothering, parenting is all about. As I reparented and mothered myself, it has helped me become a better person. Not one that's a people pleaser, that's going to do everything and not pay attention to red flags of people, but do what's best for me. And that right there has helped my mentality to mature and understand that oftentimes many things come to you, but that does not always mean that they're good for you. And so there are decisions that women have to make. Choices that have to be made from a place of peace. The mentality of a mother goes through so much. There's anxiety, there's depression, there's worry. There are so many things that plague the woman. I remember I was reading the statistics and it said that 30% of women said that they felt more anxiety as a single mom than a mother that had another person there to co-parent with. As a single mother, there are decisions that you have to make for your sanity. And this is why I believe mothers go through so much, why mothers suffer burnout, why mothers give up on their children. It is not, I don't believe that a mom just wants to give up on her children. I believe that it's life that happens in the mentality of feeling like you're a failure, like you can't do it, like your children are not satisfied with your parenting. And oftentimes it has nothing to do with your children. It is the people that we interact with that are not satisfied with us because we can't be their parent and parent our children as well. And that is one of the main things that I understood when my daughter was coming into this world. I cannot parent adults. I have to parent my child. And so it has left me at a place by myself. I mean, I have a couple connections, but don't get me wrong. This is a business transaction where I need to have assets to sow into me, to sow into my daughter. I don't have a lot of liabilities laying around right now, because I have to hold myself to a different standard. And as I do that, God gives me the grace. He gives me the know-how. He gives me the structure. He gives me the wisdom to know that I'm navigating motherhood the best that I can. And not only that, that He's proud of me. And that right there will give you all the peace of mind that you need. When God is proud of you because you're parenting your children the way He would have you to. So it is my prayer today that if you are a woman that is out there struggling in the field or in the role of mothering, sit down, take some time to yourself, assess where you are, ask yourself, what do you need to let go of? Who do you need to cut off? What do you need to come away from? So that you can get a job well done at the end of your life for the area of parenting. Because regardless of what anybody says or regardless of what the world says, no matter if they're 18 years old and they get out of your house or not, mothering is a mission. It is a purpose. And unfortunately, it does not end until you pass or they pass. And we pray, that's a hard subject for me to get into, okay? But nevertheless, set yourself up for optimal success in the area of parenting by first starting with your mentality. How do you feel about being a mother? Were you mothered? Do your friends expect you to be their mother? What things do you need to rearrange and situate to make sure that you are showing up each day for yourself and for your children? And ultimately, ladies and gentlemen, because I understand there are going to be some men that listen to this content who are single parents, and I pray that it helps you. Ultimately, mothering and parenting starts with God, because He is the perfect parent and He will give you everything that you need in order to fulfill the mission of parenting. Trust me, I'm a believer and I know. So happy Mother's Day. Thank you so much for tuning in. It is my hope and prayer that something that was said on this channel, on this podcast, this episode enlightened you, empowered you, strengthened you, and made you want to continue on with the journey of mothering. Remember, our mantra is that we're healing souls one conversation at a time. So it is my prayer that something that was said on this podcast gave you some type of healing. That way that you can go on and maximize your potential, be a good mother, and have an abundant life. Stay tuned, everybody. We'll be back with more content at a later date. Bye.